listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Man, I am, it's a little brisk. It's a little brisk out here to go streaking, but we're doing it anyway.
Yes, sir. 4 in a row.
The Rob Bro 5-0 is still in play,
oh,
obviously, yeah. Because that is how streaks work. So, man.
And you know what? Let's make it 6. Let's make it 6 in a row.
Whew. That 6th one's going to be tough. See, we're just podcast hosts. We can look past Game 5 if we want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we look past Game 5, but our Red Raiders better not be. But yeah, that sixth win on this streak is really going to be tough.
Yeah, Game 5, and this streak comes tomorrow night at home versus TCU. 6 on the road in Houston.
Yikes.
I mean, if we're just counting, like if we're counting wins,
how many games left do we have, Spencer? That's it.
Let's pull the schedule. Let's see.
Then that's how many we have left to win.
All of them.
Okay. Yeah.
So, as Casey, I'm going to mess it up. Casey Cowan, TCU fits the description of the next potential victim or something. We're going to talk about TCU. We're going to look back for a second and do a recap of Saturday's game. The schedule page isn't loading for me.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of issues with these university pages tonight. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, it's not Saturday. Sunday's game versus Oklahoma State. You were up comfortable, and then you got quite the clinch moment, and then you opened back up, and it was a comfortable win, but it was not. It was very uncomfortable there for a little while. So that was not fun, but double-digit win, conference win is a win. So there was that. We're going to preview, obviously, the game tomorrow night versus TCU. Has the metrics, has them at 74, Texas Tech at 14. So, like, obviously, top 75 is still, like, they're decent. But you're at home. You should do well at home. It's projected, I mean, according to Haslametrics, and they've been off a couple times, but 12 points for Texas Tech. And then, you've got the game Saturday versus the number 1 Haslametrics team, Houston, which is a 12-point margin in the other direction. Before you get back versus Baylor next week. There is baseball to talk about. We'll see how much we get into that. Let me just tickle a little bit into that. I don't have a full roster position breakdown, but I want to talk about positions and guys moving around this season. And then what do we learn is going to be chocked full. So stay to the end. We've got 4 things on the list. It may grow. There's a question in here. Pop quiz, hot shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good movie. Good movie. We'll start with football, as we are known to do. The big game, Super Bowl. I'm not whatever. Super Bowl is set, Michael. Our man, lifelong Chiefs fans here, back in the Super Bowl, 5th time in 6 or 7 years, whatever that is, going for 3 in a row. Our man, Patrick Mahomes, sealing it against the Bills on Sunday night. That was wonderful. I watched a short video about like how the defensive coordinator Spagnuolo set up that last 4th down pressure literally all game, and that he was blitzing heavily strong side, literally all night until fourth down. He shows a strong side blitz and then overloads from the weak side. Allen shifts the protection left to the strong side and opens up 2 and then eventually 3 free guys in his face coming from the weak side. It was beautiful. And even then, to his credit, gets the ball off and nearly completes it to pick up the first down and put them into field goal range.
I mean, it would have been an incredible catch to have come down with that because, you're surrounded by players.
He lost it literally on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, no fault to that receiver. I think people kind of
or
at
even
first, oh, definitely not Allen. I couldn't believe that. I just thought, oh man, he just threw that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that. I was kind of
same.
I just thought, he just closed his eyes and hoped for the best. But even if that's what he did, he got it in his receiver's hands, and had his receiver not been surrounded by 7 people, like fielding a punt, he might have come down with it.
Yeah, same thing as the ball. As he chucked it, I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah, me too. This isn't even going to be in bounds.
And then like it comes down, I was like, "Oh, that was close." And then the replay was like, "Oh my gosh, they nearly had that."
That was really, really close.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's really good, Spitzer. I don't know if people know this. I don't know if people realize this, but he's pretty salty.
I was talking to my nephew about it during the game. He was talking about how he was just like a no-name guy. I was like, yeah, he went to Wyoming and literally was like begging people to recruit him. And then he shows up at the draft and like just explodes with his arm strength and all this kind of stuff. And since he's been on the roster there, it's just been unbelievable. But he came up against the Chiefs, so that happens.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, if a pit into hell could have opened up and swallowed both teams, I would have been okay with that too. Eagles and Commanders.
How dare you?
I mean, as a fan of another NFC East team,
is Cliff Kingsbury allowed to not fall into the depths of hell?
He and any other Red Raiders on the field could have just escaped that.
Okay.
I think LaRaven Clark is on the Eagles squad still. Kingsbury would have been acceptable to stay. I mean, prefer. Okay. I would have liked if he, but that's not what happened. The Commanders turned the ball over 18,000 times, and the Eagles converted every single one of those into touchdowns and put up an ungodly amount of points in a conference championship game. I think it was a record 55 points. Is golly.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize how. A couple other random tidbits. That's the first time Kansas City's scored into the 30s all year. But back to Eagles Commanders, I didn't know how badly Philadelphia dominated Washington this season with the running game. So, I mean, it's not like I was watching those games during the regular season, but retrospect, you listen to some podcasts and some other sports radio and they start dissecting, and a lot of these guys, and rightfully so, saw it coming and thought, yeah, Barkley's just going to have a field day. He's going to feast. That's what he did the 2 times he played him earlier this year. And that looked to be the case. So I've talked myself. I was texting friend of the show, the Ace Man, and I was getting a little concerned about the Chiefs defense stopping Barkley. But I'm beginning to think that the Chiefs defense is going to be much better than Washington's was, and Washington just had an issue stopping the run. And I think one of their big guys up front was out for this game too, so I think that affected it negatively. So I'm not pumped about the Eagles matchup. I think it would have been cool to have the Commanders, to have the Cliff Mahomes reunion, all that kind of stuff. I would have just eaten all that up for 2 weeks of think pieces and random tweets from The Athletic about Kingsbury and Mahomes, and here's an article from somebody about. I would just have been all over that, but now we get a rematch. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's just another game. Just another game for my Chiefs, my beloved Chiefs. Lifelong fan. Yeah, I saw some. I think it was some people tweeting about, well, you're not I think the minimum requirement to be considered a true Chiefs fan is some sort of proof that you were a fan in 2015. Like that's the minimum bar.
The year before
Yeah,
Mahomes got there. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. And I'm like, oh, that works out. So that
I
was before. Well, because they had some success with Alex Smith there
Mhm.
too. So
You know what I
I
say about that, Michael?
what
I don't have to prove myself to anybody.
I don't either. I I'm not. It was one of those. Well, you're not a real diehard. Like I'm not. No one is legitimately saying that. I don't think. I think we're all tongue in cheek. Like, oh yeah. It's. I'm so happy that the only team in professional football that I've ever cared for is gone to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah. I mean, I I've been a bandwagon Chiefs fan going on 8 years now.
Mhm.
So I mean, I probably watched more Chiefs games over that span than Cowboys games. More invested in the success of the Chiefs than the Cowboys because Jerry Jones he's a moron. The quotes from this week after announcing the hire of Schottenheimer is like, I, I, he and his son is like, it seems they really truly don't understand that the Cowboys are bad and have been bad for a while. There was that graphic. I don't know if you saw it, Michael. The longest time a team in the NFC, or I don't know if it's just the NFC, but longest time they've had a drought out of the conference championship game / Super Bowl, and it was like Cowboys dead last. It was like 24 years or
Ooh.
whatever it was. And it was like the other teams, I think the next closest was still several years ahead. Um, I mean, the Commanders have been bad for a while.
Well,
And
yeah, they
yeah,
had 4 wins last year.
and they got hot at the right time. They had a hot OC and a young quarterback just click at the right time.
A head coach that no longer was coaching for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The other
So,
thing I wanted to point out too, just to kind of rub salt on the wound
oh, please do.
to the Cowboys fans out there, which I am. Uh, I inherited the Cowboy fandom, but I have not let it define me. I'll put it that way. I really enjoyed the To and Romo years. I that was probably when I was really into it and really rooting for the Cowboys, but it's kind of just been yada yada since then. So I did a little stat of stat of the day of my own. So the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, in this century have been to 4 Super Bowls. This will be their 4th Super Bowl trip. The Cowboys have 4 playoff wins in that same 24-year stretch. So even the Eagles, who is a team that's not like a storied franchise, has been to the damn Super Bowl 4 times. They have as many Super Bowl appearances as the Cowboys have playoff wins in the same stretch. Get it together. Gosh, I would if I was a diehard Cowboys fan, whatever the requirement is for that, cry yourself to sleep every night. I don't know. I would be very livid about the whole NFC East, NFC Championship game,
Right.
all of it. I mean, there's just so much of it to lament over. Paying a quarterback who's injury prone gobs and gobs of money, signing, getting deals done at the last second with your star receiver, hiring a guy that you don't even seem to believe in to coach your team, having your head coach say thanks but no thanks. I don't want to come back to this. This is terrible. Let's just do each other a solid and shake hands and call it a day. Golly.
What is it called with the self unaliving in the Japanese warrior
Committing seppuku?
Seppuku. That's what he's like. No, I'm not coming back for this. We're just gonna
Pull the pin on this right now.
where. Oh, and then his glory hole comment. Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord, Jerry.
Which of course he was referring to something else. Obviously.
Because he's 95 years old.
But still. Oh, it was in the Cowboys one. Okay, NFC Championship droughts. Ready? Obviously, Philadelphia and Washington 0. These are seasons since the last time they appeared. Detroit 1, San Francisco 1. The Rams 3, Green Bay 4, Tampa Bay 4, New Orleans 6, the Vikings 7, the Falcons 8, Arizona 9, Carolina 9, Seattle 10, the Giants 13, Chicago 14,
Ooh.
Dallas 29. More than double the number of seasons the next to last team.
Well,
but of course, no, the Cowboys are just fine.
Everyone likes to. Oh gosh, I feel like the last decade the Bears have just been a punchline.
The Giants too.
But they've been to the championship.
They've been to
what? 15 years sooner than
they were
the Cowboys
playing in the
have?
Super Bowl. 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that was the Rex Grossman special, I think, versus the Colts.
And what wasn't the trapped the catch against the helmet? Wasn't that that same year?
That was Giants Patriots.
Yeah, no, still
David Tyree, or I can't remember.
Go Eli Manning, right?
But yeah, I mean, you brought up the Giants. They were on that list above Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Anyways,
the Bears.
Everything's fine.
It's great. Fine. Yeah. So hats off to the true Cowboys fans out there. Thoughts and prayers.
I'm just, I was making the joke. This was in the season. I was like, we were watching a Cowboys game. And Spencer, what are you doing? I was like, I gotta raise my kids to be disappointed in the Cowboys fans, just like me. So, yeah, it's good.
What are you doing? Are you okay? Why are you watching Cooper Rush?
Because the Chiefs.
You're ruining Thanksgiving.
The Chiefs come on at 3:25 and the Cowboys kicked off at noon. All right, this is what we're doing.
Let's just have some filler.
Yeah. All right. Also, again, like, I'm sorry. One more thing in the Cowboys. Okay, so your franchise quarterback goes down with a season-ending injury.
Again.
And they roll out with Cooper Rush.
Again.
But like, I mean, maybe it was a thing of pride for McCarthy, and it was like, and Jones like, no, stop winning games. Like, you won too many games. Just eat it. You lost your quarterback. You're not going to do anything but hurt yourself by winning games. Stop it. They couldn't even tank properly.
No. Well, and
messed around and won 7-8 games. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, and what would have killed me is, you pay $600 a ticket or whatever to go to these games, and they won 2 of them.
Yeah, they were terrible at home.
They're 2-7 at home.
This is way too much Cowboys talk.
Oh, it's fine. We needed to let it all out. I think we've just kind of been saving it up for the last 5 months.
17 weeks. All right, so Super Bowl, not this weekend, but next. Go Chiefs. Eagles can suck it. Although, I mean, it's dang, Saquon Barkley, so good. 60-yard run his first rush. Then there was that I hope you saw it. It was a video comparing his first and like his fourth touchdowns, but mainly just to show the change in the weather. Because like his first touchdown, that 60-yard run, green grass, whatever. The last one, completely white field. The camera was fogged over. Snow was heavily falling.
That was the week before, though, I think. It didn't snow.
Oh, am I missing?
In the NFC Championship game. I think that was against the Rams.
Well, still, that was a fun.
It was. No, it was really cool because he looked way faster than anyone running in that amount of snow should look. Like, no one was even trying to catch him. They were like, I think I'm going to fall on my face if I try to catch this guy. And he made it look easy.
Yeah. Texas Tech football related. Graham Harrell, named College Football Hall of Fame, was honored at the game on Sunday. Did a radio interview on Saturday morning. Did you hear it, Michael? With Thetford and Ashby here locally.
Oh, how was that?
I mean, I didn't hear
Hard
it
hitting.
And depends.
Y'all
if you
remember
read too
that
much into
time
it.
that you went and scored that touchdown? Y'all remember that?
One, it was really funny when he signed off the interview. One, I can't remember if it was Thetford or Ashby said, "Say hello to your daddy for me." What a weird way to say
even
that.
mean?
But two, Harrell was talking about like it was great to have, you know, the recognition. Like obviously there were a lot of great guys on those teams, but blah blah blah. That we did something that, you know, has been great and just untouched since then, and we won a lot of games. I didn't hear it live. I heard it on Bro's podcast. He was like, "Is that like a shot at Mahomes?" When he was talking about like being a great quarterback but not winning anything, and how he was inducted first. It's like, well, I don't know what the alumni and Letterman relations has been, but like he hasn't seemed to be like real high on the cheerleader big board since he's left.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's his personality or what, because it was very similar with Crabtree.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. And I don't know if we didn't have the right people there at Texas Tech to try to foster these relationships, and they're just doing a lot better job of it now than they were 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Rodney Allison was hired a few years after Harrell. It was like the Kingsbury years when Allison was hired. Sorry, Kingsbury's a head coach. So like that's obviously gotten a lot better. But also there's a shot there. But I mean, now he's going to be honored. He's going to be in the Texas Tech Ring of Honor and all that. It's going to be great. His name's going to be up in the stadium. All that good stuff. He was also asked, it's like, hey, you're going to be the OC at Abilene Christian, and he was like, we'll see. Like, wait a minute. And it may be like
they officially announced it today. I think.
Okay, so on Saturday he was like, "Yeah, we'll see."
Yeah, I think there must have been some, because I saw, man, it was like all over the place last week, a week ago, and I meant to mention it when we recorded last week, but then it wasn't really official, and I thought, we'll wait. But yes, I actually saw a tweet going around that I think was from the official Abilene Christian account, indicating that he was named.
5 hours ago, as of recording. Help us in welcoming Graham Harrell to the big country as a new offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for the Wildcats. Welcome to the 325. So yeah, I mean, as of Saturday, it wasn't official yet. I bet he was told like you can't say anything officially about it, but that was a strange. Okay, so there was that. Nothing new for the spring schedule. We're actually still waiting on the official fall schedule to come out, supposedly this week, maybe. Still no official schedule for Texas Tech football for 2025. Last thing before we get to basketball, Micah Hudson.
I don't even know. I have not had the strength to follow this or the fortitude to dig through Twitter and Discord and Red Raider Sports or wherever I'm supposed to look. I mean, what the tea leaves, I hear level is indicating things that are ominous and vague. I don't know. Do you know anything? What we're alluding to,
anything.
In case anyone is living their best life and they don't know what's happening. So Micah Hudson, of course, 5-star recruit, left Texas Tech over the offseason, transferred to Texas A&M. Reportedly has since left the team and possibly unenrolled from the university itself in College Station. Maybe in communication with people at Texas Tech. Could be a chance he comes back. Could mean nothing. Um, it sounds like he's going through some personal stuff that we know nothing about. I don't want to speculate on. I don't want to make light of or anything. So it's just there's stuff happening, but no one, to my knowledge, has really. We really don't know what that stuff is. So
Yeah.
just something I thought, well, we'll mention it because it's a thing.
He's
And
reeling again.
yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, so he was obviously transferred away from Texas Tech, committed and enrolled at A&M, was seen working out in A&M gear, was on the roster and all that kind of stuff, and then has officially stepped away and no longer on the A&M roster. Following that was seen in Lubbock. The situation, scenario, circumstances around why he was in Lubbock, what he was doing in Lubbock, hasn't been confirmed. Like, was he picking up things that he needed a last minute pack? That he left some things. I'm sure with his NIL demands, he could have just replaced whatever he left. I mean, you can buy a new PlayStation, man. I don't know, or if he was literally back meeting with people, talking things over. He was supposedly seen in and around the football facility. I don't know. At this point, I would assume he's not going to be anywhere this spring, seeing his classes started 2 weeks ago. Probably a drop dead date of the last day to enroll to actually have credits, whatever count. I don't even know how that works, but probably not now. So he's got some time to figure it out and work out the best deal for he and his family and all that kind of stuff, and find the right fit. And then join a program over the summer. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's still got a ton of time, and probably a ton of options.
Probably.
So
right.
We'll just see. We'll see what happens.
Also, it's been a long time, but thanks for covering while I changed out the microphone. The buzz was I just couldn't get it, man.
Oh, I didn't even know you were doing that. I just was that.
I was
that in depth with the Hudson talk.
No, it
so
wasn't
focused.
It wasn't during Hudson. It was a long time ago.
Oh man, it's a good thing you've got me to co-host a podcast. Apparently, I just like to talk and not even pay attention to what the person I'm talking to is doing.
Yeah. Well, welcome in, Steven. I thought y'all were streaking. I'm disappointed. We're getting there. Go ahead and take this off right now. We'll start basketball. We'll start Lady Raiders first, and then get to the men's team streaking 4-0 over this last 4 games. But Lady Raiders now 14-8, 3-6 in the Big 12. Did break their losing streak on Wednesday. Houston won, against 5-15 Houston, 62-44. Dropped the next one, 17-3, 7-2 Oklahoma State. By just 3. So not that they were running to the gym on that one.
Right, and it was a Oklahoma State. I don't know if they were ranked when Texas Tech played them, but they were ranked the week before. Very solid team who had just gotten beat by Houston themselves, I believe, the Saturday prior. And so the Lady Raiders actually were down considerable headed into the fourth quarter. They were down by 14. It was 59-45. And I had it on, and I just kind of thought, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And sure enough, Lady Raiders went on a run, outscored Oklahoma State 23-12 in the fourth quarter, but just still couldn't come up with the win. Staley Hurd had 34 points. She was 10 of 19 from the field, shot 16 free throws, made 12 of them. And, she shot a lot of those in the fourth quarter, and especially in the last few minutes. So Oklahoma State was really smart, keeping the ball in her hands. Unfortunately, the Lady Raiders were fouling her, and she was making the shots. So it was one of those wins. Goodness, it was one of those losses where you feel sort of good about the loss, but you don't want a moral victory, but you'll kind of admit that that's what this is in your head. So I did really appreciate that they were able to bounce back the way that they did against a 17-win team. But man, you got to come up with that. I mean, they only have 3 Big 12 wins. They're 12th in the conference right now. Of their 3 wins, they did beat BYU before Houston, so they had already broken that streak a little bit. But BYU's towards the bottom of the standings, and of course Houston is at the bottom of the standings, and those are the 2 teams they've beaten so far in Big 12 play. But got some more chances coming up. The front end of their schedule was really top heavy. Now it's kind of getting into hopefully a little bit, slightly more winnable games. But Wednesday they'll be at Kansas. They play at 6:30. The men play at 6. So if you can get both of them up on the screen. If you got the YouTube thing, or if you've got, like me, I've got the Xbox, and if I've got the ESPN app, I can multi-view up to 4 different ESPN games. So Wednesday at Kansas. Kansas is 3-6 in the Big 12, so same record as you. Should be at least a winnable game. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy one, but then you come back home Sunday, host Colorado, who's 4-4 in the Big 12, and then nope, I'm sorry, that's not right. You go to Boulder. This is a week-long road trip, so they'll be in Kansas on Wednesday. They'll be in Boulder on Sunday, and then they come back on Wednesday the 5th to host Utah, who's 6-3 in the Big 12. Some winnable games coming, but they're going to both be on the road. So, yikes.
Yeah. Men have been on a little streak. We talked about it, 4-0 over the last 4. Creeped into the AP top 25, checking in at number 22. Others within the Big 12 receiving votes not being ranked: Arizona would be 30th, Baylor 35, West Virginia 38. But all eyes have been on Iowa State, 17-3, I believe. Now
You're right.
They just lost.
Yep, you're right.
7-2 in Big 12 play. Houston at 6, Kansas at 11, Texas Tech at 22, and then West Virginia having dropped out with losses to Arizona State and Kansas State. Oof. Losing to Kansas State hurts. This past weekend, Texas Tech did take down the Oklahoma State Cowboys and Robert Jennings with 9 minutes and change in the second half. You had an 18-point lead, and it felt like it was cruising. You had forced about 1,000 Oklahoma State turnovers. They had committed some unforced ones. You were turning those into points. You weren't shooting all that well. Oklahoma State was shooting well, despite, it was strange. The stats indicate, besides the turnovers, indicated the game was a lot closer than it was. And it literally was how Oklahoma State could not hang on to the ball. Ultimately, they commit 22 turnovers in the game. And let's see, you converted those into 20 points yourself. So you weren't like making every turnover count. Oklahoma State converted your 13 turnovers into 11 points for themselves. You manhandled them in the paint, especially down low in the first half. You held a 12-1 second chance points advantage. Your bench was deeper. You 24 points to their 7. Had 22 points in the paint to their 18. They did get 7 fast break points over the game, 4 in the second half, 3 in the first. Ended up shooting 19 of 42 from the game. You shot 22 of 50. So what is that? They shot 45% from the field. I mean, like you do that, you're like they should be in business. Only 23% from three, and then you sent them to the line 18 times, and they hit 13 of them. Whereas Texas Tech shot 44% from the field. You were 8 of 26 from three. 7 of those 8 came in the first half. You were 7 of 17 from the first half. 1 of 9. You put up 17 3-point attempts in the first half, which is ridiculous. Shot 0 free throws. Second half, you were 1 of 9 from deep. Only connected on 7 2-point field goals. You only scored 8 field goals in the second half. But you did put up 12 of 21 free throw points in the second half. 57% from the line is not good. So this game, like I said, you had an 18-point lead with like 9 minutes and change. And very much, if you believe in announcers' jinxes, they were talking about how Oklahoma State had erased something like a 22-point lead the other night. And in the blink of an eye, they go on a 16-1 run. So they go from down 18 to down 3. And you're just like, what is happening? You weren't shooting well. They weren't terrible shots. Some of them felt a little rushed, especially your threes during that little stretch. I mean, when you go 1 of 9 from deep, I mean, you're not shooting well. I mean, 11%. Ooh. But you end up rebuilding that lead, winning by 10. To ultimately the final score, like it looks closer than it was, but then again, Oklahoma State made it really kind of little heartburn there for a minute. But you take care of business as you do. I mean, as you needed to. Had you lost this game, I mean, it would have been atrocious.
Yeah.
Now what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Yes, it would have been rough.
Yeah. One of the things I think kind of attributed to the Oklahoma State run, D5 rolled his ankle again and missed the last 7 minutes of the game. He left, went to the locker room, knocked over a chair, obviously frustrated. It's the same ankle that he's been having issues with. I don't know if it's just he rolled it loose, if you know what I mean. Like it's now just kind of weakened from a previous injury. So now it's kind of susceptible to this. And this is something that maybe you can look at, it's not Texas Tech specific, but across the league, like, hey, maybe we cut back and we don't play 20 conference games and not have a break. Because everybody's going to be dealing with injuries. And so it's like I said, it's not going to be specific to one team. Everybody's going to have, different ways of how they're going to be affected by it. But maybe we scale back to 18. Maybe we figure something else out and we just don't do 10 straight weeks of 2 games a week and no breath here for a rolled ankle or a jammed finger or whatever to get a couple extra days to rest and ice. So, onward. That was Sunday. McCaslin said D5 will be a game time decision. I assume he'll play, maybe limited, but that he would play back at home versus TCU. It's a favorable matchup for Texas Tech. It's a 12-point projection by Haslametrics. You're 14th ranked in that aspect. TCU 74th. TCU is a very narrow scoring margin so far. 69 points they score while giving up almost 68, whereas Texas Tech is scoring 82, giving up 65. You are shooting 49% from the field, so that's dipped under 50. They're shooting 42.5. They're giving up. TCU is giving up defensively 43% from the field.
Oof.
So being, on the negative end of that, on that margin there is not good. have a very narrow advantage though. 3-point, they shoot 31.5, give up 30.5. Texas Tech shoots 38.5 while giving up 31.5. They do get to the free throw line a few more times in Texas Tech, about 2 more times per game. But they are, I think, one of the, if not the worst free throw shooting teams in the conference, if not the country. Texas Tech is connecting on 77% of their free throws, whereas TCU is connecting on just 63.5%. They have a narrow rebounding margin, 35 to 34.5. Texas Tech has got a 7 rebound margin in their favor. And both teams are about plus 2.5, 3 in turnovers. They're forcing more turnovers than they are turning the ball over. Texas Tech is like 11 and 13. TCU's 13 and 15. So more turnovers per game, but scaled up a little bit. So this would be game 5 in Rob Rowe's streak of 5. 5-0.
At least 5-0, I think.
At least
he clarified.
There you go. Then you get a road trip at Houston. Not an easy task, but you've shown you've been able to win on the road. If you do drop this one, this would be your first conference loss on the road. I'm just saying. Not saying, just saying. But if you believe in projections, they show this one as a 12-point margin in favor of Houston. They are only allowing teams to score 55.5 points while scoring 77 themselves. That defense is unbelievable. The Cougars are shooting nearly 46% from the field while holding opponents to 36. They're just suffocating defense. Do not let guys get open and shoot. They are connecting in almost 40% of their threes, holding teams to 30. They get to the line, just a little bit less often than Texas Tech, but about at the same clip, shooting a little less efficiently from the free throw line, 72.2 to your 76.9. They have a 6 rebound advantage there, 38 to 32. You're 37 to 30. Strangely, though, they are committing more turnovers than they are forcing by 3. So maybe there's a little chink there, but I mean they're just been manhandling people.
Yeah.
I guess outside of UCF, who had a shot to win it, that one. But
in Kansas,
but
yeah,
it's Kansas.
But I just, the second I say this, it's going to happen. So their scorers are L.J. Cryer, Manuel Sharp, Jawan Roberts. These guys average. They're the only guys averaging double digits. Milos Uzan is averaging almost 10. But, not a ton of scorers jumping off the sheet. Now, that means that Cryer is obviously going to score 27 against Texas Tech or something.
Stop it.
On Saturday. But that normally that would give me some hope, but the defense I've seen from Tech has been come and go. And I hope that that's something that they can do, that they can take the rock fight to them and turn this into one of those 47-45 type games. But man, I don't know. I don't know what this offense is going to look like going through that defense. It's going to be tough, especially. I'm not sure if Toppin's banged up or what. I mean, he had like 1 rebound last week. He only played 21 minutes. He got in foul trouble early. That's why.
Yeah, it's been the issue with him is foul trouble.
So
and then
got to keep an eye on that.
Defenses have been trying as much as they can to take him away. When he gets the ball in and around the paint, they just collapse and double team him, and not let him just back people down and shoot his hook shot. Ken Pom has Houston's defense as number 1, their offense at number 10. Ironically, or not ironically, but coincidentally, I guess, Auburn, who's number 1 in Ken Pom, has a number 1 offense and number 11 defense. Duke is 3. They have the 7 offense, the 2 defense. Florida has a 2 offense, 16 defense. Kansas has a 30th offense, 5th defense. There's Texas Tech at 11 with the 11th offense, the 29th defense. So you're in the mix there.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's gonna. We'll see how D5 comes back if they decide to set him a little bit against TCU and try to get him 100% before they make the trip to H Town. But I'm a little nervous about this. I just remember how it felt the last time Tech played in Houston. It just seemed like they had 6 guys on the court.
And we're not even talking about the refs.
Could do.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't a. That is definitely not a comment on the officiating. It was just, what do you do against this defense? Nothing. That's what you do. Hopefully Hawkins doesn't go 0 for 6 from 3 again or whatever that was.
Well, he wasn't on the team last year, but
no. I mean,
I get your point.
As opposed to last week against Oklahoma State.
Yes.
That was a rough stretch to see. But McMillan luckily kind of carried the water against on that game as far as scoring. But in Walton showed back up a little bit, hit 2 or 3 threes, and that's what you need against a team like this. Try to get him an open shot and give him a good look. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah. You come back from that road trip to host Baylor on Tuesday the 4th.
Ugh.
Back on the road to Arizona. They get a revenge shot at you late Saturday night on the 8th. And you're home back versus Arizona State on the 12th. To Oklahoma State on the 15th. To TCU on the 18th. Home versus West Virginia. I mean, who knows if I don't know if Tucker DeVries is hurting out for the season, or if he's just been hurt and not being able to play, or if they're starting to fall apart. I don't know. It's a long way off before we see them. But West Virginia on the 22nd, Houston again Monday the 24th. So lovely that you get that short turnaround. But both those games are at home before you travel. It feels like an eternity. You get game Monday night, and then on the road Saturday the 1st at Kansas. You get into March, weird things happen. Would love for that to be an upset there in Allen Fieldhouse. Back home for Colorado, and then on the road to finish the season on March the 8th in Tempe.
So quick scoring update for tonight, just to kind of keep everybody up to date. I'm sure if you're listening to this tomorrow, you may already know, but Kansas went down to the wire hosting UCF. They almost lost 2 home games in a row for the first time in, I think, Bill Self's career, but ended up pulling it out 91-87. UCF had some chances there towards the end, but could not get a good shot. Baylor right now is down 6 versus BYU up in Provo, and there are 2 minutes left. So Big 12 basketball for you. Another Big 12 basketball score for you. 70-68, Arizona State wins in Boulder versus the Buffaloes. And then currently halftime, Cincinnati is down 6, 34-40 in Salt Lake City versus the Utes. So every game competitive right now, that's for sure. And
Arizona won last night versus Iowa State 86-75.
And that was in overtime. I think I should have written that down, but I didn't. That was an overtime game that
it was like
I forgot was overtime.
Yeah, I think Arizona hit like a longer than half court shot to force overtime, and then went on a run to win by 11 in overtime, which is
Arizona. Okay, yeah. So that win, we kind of mentioned it earlier. That win puts Arizona second in the Big 12. They are 8-1, and so they flip-flopped Iowa State. Both of them went into that game at 7-1. So Iowa State's now third. Of course, Texas Tech is fourth. Houston is still perfect, 8-0. So Arizona, a team that Tech was able to beat, this is, really looking to be a good win. I thought it was a good win then. They did not play well, especially that last 7 minutes. And I kind of thought, well, maybe they just got lucky these first 7 or 8 or 6 games at the time, whatever it was. But man, yeah, 8-1 in the Big 12 in their first year, right out of the gate. 14-6. That record doesn't look so great. They lost in the regular or the preseason, not preseason. Oh my gosh, pre-conference, whatever, non-conference play.
There it is.
And yeah, I'd get there eventually. So I'm just, you see Texas Tech ranked number 22, which is great. I love it. Arizona getting votes to be number 30 right now. I'm just not sure how you can look at an 8-1 record in the Big 12 and not start cracking that top 25.
Well, they're on their way up. I mean,
Yep.
they've won 3 in a row, going back to that loss to Texas Tech. Tech's won 4.
We were their get right game.
Well, after us.
We scared him back into.
Yeah. Houston, obviously 8-0, so they're on an 8-game conference win streak, but full season they've won 12 straight, which is just outlandish. But Houston's Houston. And then when we start talking about Baylor the following week, they're 29th on Haslametrics as a favorable matchup for Texas Tech in terms of points. Haslametrics has it as a 6-point win. Their splits scoring are about the same, just a couple points lower. They score almost 80, give up 67. Shoot 46 from the field, allow teams to shoot 43. They shoot 36 and a half from 3. Opponents are hitting 36.2 from 3. They get to the free throw line exactly as many times, 17.3 as you do. They are shooting 72% from the line. Rebounding, they have a 4.5 rebound advantage, and then a 3.5 turnover advantage. So if you do drop it in Houston, you've got a couple days to get right and get back going. You hope that McCaslin doesn't have any weirdness about going against his former team. We've seen it in football happen. But I want to go ahead and take care of that. Take care of Baylor, get things going the right direction to get you geared up, ready for that road trip out to Arizona. So anything else on basketball before we travel over to the Diamond, Michael?
I think that covers it for me. All
right.
Got 3 games that we'll be talking about next podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah, we'll have a recap and reaction to TCU Houston, and then maybe an instant to Baylor.
Yeah, sort of.
Is it a 6 o'clock tip or is it 8 o'clock?
I had that up there. It's at 8, so it'll be
second half live. There we go. It's our favorite episode. All right, baseball. 17 games to the first pitch of game 1 at North Carolina. We talked about that. Tickets are still on sale for the tailgate dinner at Kegel's. No free ads, but it's been a good time for me. I've gone. You get to meet, well, if you choose to meet, you can meet team, coaches, that kind of stuff. Or just go have a good steak dinner and listen to Robert Giovanetti, Coach Tadlock, and a small number of players. But talk about that. Michael, single game tickets went on sale. Michael's picked up a few. Will be in attendance for at least 3 of the games this year.
Oh yeah, I decided to just take a plunge. So I set myself a budget, and I got the email, and I saw that the single season tickets went on sale Monday. So for those of you who didn't know, single season tickets are on sale. They're pretty much all general admission, but I just picked 3. I thought March is going to be crazy as far as my family's concerned, so I'm not going to go to a game on March, but I've got game 3 versus UC Irvine, the 23rd next month.
The Anteaters, their first home series.
You're the one that talked me into that one, telling me, how well they did last year and
Mm-hmm.
how this could be a really, they were what? You've still got it down here, I think 44, 45 and 14. Yeah.
Yes. 22-8 conference play. Won 20 games on the road last season, only dropped 6. So,
Yeah. And a team like that's not going to small schools on the road. I mean, they're coming to Texas Tech or they're going to Stanford or they're going to wherever. So, yeah. Anyway, you talked me into that one. I thought, well, that'll be great. I'll go see that on a Sunday. So then I've got a 2-month hiatus, and I kept seeing Arizona kind of get a lot of love in the preseason, and they also got a little bit of love according to their ticket prices. So, I got tickets for Game 3 versus Arizona. That's a Sunday, the 27th of April, and then the day before Mother's Day, I made sure to not get a ticket for the day of Mother's Day, but Saturday, May 10th, the last home series versus UCF. I'm going to check out Game 2. That's the plan, at least.
They were a good squad last year. You had a competitive series. Obviously you didn't do well in the season last year, but UCF, the teams you've picked, they've all had good teams. It's not like you're going to UC San Diego or Tarleton State or
right. Yeah, I was just trying to pick ones that worked best for. I can cut out at 1 or 2 on a Sunday, and no one's going to miss me. It's fine. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the weather cooperates and everything, and maybe I'll grab tickets for some other ones along the way. But for some reason, I just got a wild hair, man. It was this morning. I was like, I'm going to get some tickets. I'm going to go to some. I always talk about going to some baseball games, and then it's like the day of, and I'm kind of wondering, I wonder if I should. Oh, I can't get tickets. So now I got the tickets first, and then we'll plan around it. We'll do it live.
Yeah. I'm sure our office will have our season tickets again, as we've been a long time sponsor through Learfield, but I may pick up a ticket here or there. It's a bit more difficult to do that now with 3 kids.
Yes, I would imagine. Yep.
So after UC Irvine, just as a reminder for those look at the schedule, you travel out to the Las Vegas College Baseball Classic to take on Illinois, Texas, and Washington. And you're back home to take on UC San Diego. You travel back to Phoenix to take on Grand Canyon. That's been an interesting matchup. You go to Houston to face Houston. We'll talk about the Big 12 preseason projections. They are not picked to be great this year, or Houston. New Mexico, TCU series here in Lubbock. Tarleton State, you travel to Manhattan for Kansas State. You play Oklahoma and Frisco, non-conference, obviously. You host Cincinnati. You got a couple one game matchups with New Mexico. You host Baylor this season. You're at Arizona State. You host Arizona. You host UTRGV. You travel to Morgantown, who's picked right ahead of you. You host New Mexico State. You host UCF. You've got tickets to that. And then for all those that had stadium envy looking at BYU when they joined, you travel out to Provo this year. You get to take on the Cougars, last in the conference, projected to be last in the conference, but their stadium there in the mountains, facing Y Mountain, picturesque as all get out, but not a great team supposedly this year. Preseason Big 12 coaches poll and D1 baseball all came out with their preseason poll. Oklahoma State leads both in the coaches poll. They received 9 first place votes. Arizona second with 4. TCU in third with 1. West Virginia just narrowly edges you out for 4th. They're 4th in both. Texas Tech shows up at 5th in the coaches poll. Kansas 5th in the D1 poll. Arizona State in coaches poll is number 6. Texas Tech is 6th in D1 baseball. UCF 7, Arizona State 7, depending on which one. I'll just give the coaches poll first. D1 baseball, so I'm not saying the same thing every time. UCF, or 7, UCF, Arizona State. 8, Kansas State or UCF. 9, Kansas. There's a big disparity there between the coaches poll and D1 baseball. But 9, Kansas, Cincinnati. 10, Cincinnati, Kansas State. 11, Houston, Utah. 12, Utah, Baylor. 13, Baylor, Houston. And then unanimous 14, BYU. So I think you've got some, I wouldn't say so much confidence, but you've got the same, I'm trying to say this. You have reasons to be optimistic with the roster you're bringing in, just like what you're doing with the football team. You've got solid pieces on your roster. You added to it. You brought in a ton of arms. You've got great arms that you're hoping to take the next step in Mac Hewer and who else did we have? Zane Petty, Jacob Rogers. Your guys in the field that you're looking to be just as good, if not better, this year. Damian Bravo, TJ Pompey, Davis Rivers, Hudson Parker. We talked about looking at some of the position battles, whatever. I think one of the biggest things we're going to keep our eye on is where Pompey's going to play. I think your infield is kind of, you've got like a bunch of guys that could play on the infield. And, he played shortstop and second base last year. I don't know if you put him back at shortstop. The guy you brought in that just did super well in the fall, Antonelli Salvatore, is going to be your second baseman, or at least should be, especially if you're looking at how he did in the fall. You've got more prototypical corner infielders with the Stetson transfer, Logan Hughes, Peyton Schulte from Cal, and then Robert Villanueva from Tennessee. So you would think that maybe Pompey goes back to shortstop, but he's been playing at third base, or at least was in the fall. Maybe, trying out that move out to third. Other guys that would be, battling him at third would be Schultze and then Garrett Bame, who was in the transfer portal but came back. Bame could also be playing out in the outfield. You're desperately needing an upgrade in center field over last year. And you've got quite the battle going on. You've got 3 guys there, all new, that could see some time out there. Kyler Thompson, Kendall Johnson, and then Jace Souza. Jace Souza was a guy that was super highly recruited and touted, drafted super high, but with an injury decided to come to college and play. Was held out in the fall, but supposedly he's a full go this spring. So you would hope to get him in. Your rotation of catchers, I think, is pretty much set with Davis Rivers. Hudson Parker is going to be back there. Sorry, Rivers is not going to be your starter catcher. I'm misreading notes here. Who's why am I blanking on his name? No. My gosh, what's his name? Give me 2 seconds. This is going to be.
I would love to be able to help you, but I cannot. Well, I'll give a quick basketball update. So
Please.
we're talking about Baylor and BYU game kind of coming down to the wire. Well, guess what, my friends? It went into overtime. And Baylor is currently down by 4 again, 83-87 with 2:32 left in OT. And Cincy and Utah have, Cincy roared off to an 8-4 run to start the second half and have kind of cut the lead a little bit. They're down 42-44. So a chance for all 4 of these games today to end very closely. And, that would include, if we include yesterday, then that's 5. So I get tired of saying it almost, but it's Big 12 basketball, folks. Here we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Back to you, Spencer.
Dylan Maxey. Dylan Maxey going to be your starting catcher. Davis Rivers and Hudson Parker backing him up. Antonio Salvatore will be your second baseman. The other guy I was thinking about that would be clogging up, they had potentially talked about moving Damian Bravo to the infield, which is an interesting move. But you've got so many options at the outfield, in the outfield, that you just basically want to get your best bats in the lineup and figure out where they can play, essentially. And this is the Tim Tadlock quote, like, if you can hit, we'll find a place for you to stand. Your outfielders, which we'll get into a little bit later, your corner outfielders are going to be the ones that everybody's looking at. Well, nailing down your center fielder, I think, was going to be great. And then, finding guys to play out in the corner outfielders. But could be Logan Hughes. It could be, Villanueva, the guy from Tennessee, if he's not playing first. Bravo, if he doesn't make it into the infield, or if he's not moved in the infield. Obviously, he played left field most of the year. So, yeah, so much to get to, and we'll do more of that. Still hoping to get our man Keith Patrick on to help us sort through all this, but baseball's coming up 2.5 weeks before they hit the road to take on North Carolina, back home the following week versus UC Irvine and Eaters. It's baseball.
It's coming.
Can't wait. Can't wait. You want to get to questions, Michael?
I do.
All right. You got a question here. You want to pop quiz in here. I'm nervous. What's going on?
It's one question. Okay. So my wife and I, before we recorded, I flipped over to CBS Sports to see what game was on, and because I just really like how they broadcast games. The Kansas game was the only game I was kind of paying attention to. It was at halftime. Switch over to CBS Sports. It's VCU versus St. Louis. Very interesting logo on the court. It's at St. Louis, and my wife asked me, what is their mascot? It's like, I have no idea. And so that's my question to you, Spencer. What is St. Louis University's mascot?
I'm like, for some reason, I'm feeling like Dons or something. Who are the Dons?
I don't know, but St. Louis.
Not St. Louis, apparently, but
they are the Billikens. Billiken. I had to look up what the heck that was, because it says Billiken on the baseline of the court. And, I thought, well, maybe that's the name of the court. Maybe that's like Allen Fieldhouse or something. It's like Billiken Court or whatever. And I just dismissed it. Like, well, that's not their mascot. So I Googled it on my phone, and that's what it is. And a Billiken is a charm doll that was created by an American art teacher. This is Wikipedia. So created by an American art teacher, Florence. I'm overdoing it. Florence Pretz of Kansas City, Missouri, who is said to have seen the mysterious figure in a dream. And so she named it a Billiken based off of a poem from 1896, and then she obtained a design patent on the ornamental design of the Billiken, which she sold to the Billiken Company of Chicago. It's kind of monkey-like. It's got pointed ears, sort of. it's bizarre. It is really bizarre, and apparently it was used for mascots a lot, kind of in this area, St. Louis and um, Illinois, Northern Alabama. There were this. Where else was it? Uh, dang. Anyway, so it seems like it's kind of a Midwest sort of piece of culture, and so yeah, the St. Louis Billikens. Now you know.
Billiken was a team nickname for several minor league professional baseball teams.
Mhm.
Fort Wayne Billikens, Montgomery Billikens, Bay City, Southern Michigan League, the McLeansboro of the Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee League, the Kitty League. That's wild. I've never seen this. I've never heard of it. It's really creepy.
All because the lady had a dream in 1906 or whatever.
Yeah, well, I failed that pop quiz. I did not know the St. Louis University mascot was the Billiken.
Yeah. Tip of your tongue though. I bet you would have gotten it.
Okay, hold on. Who?
Now we're all gonna have bad dreams
San
about
Francisco.
Billikens.
San Francisco or the Dons.
Oh, okay. So it was one of those two name cities.
St. Louis, San Francisco.
Start with an S. Yeah, you're good.
That was close.
Makes sense.
They were both Saint something.
Saint, San,
Louis,
Francis,
Francisco. French,
whatever.
Spanish.
It's all.
All right. What do we learn? We have
This is chock full.
3 things. Resolution update. I'm happy to report, Michael, much better this week.
Okay, now remind everybody what your resolution was.
To get drawn offsides less often. So not like never, but
That's my
less
guy.
often. It's a progress goal. We're trying to get better. The week before, failed miserably with the inauguration, and then Elon Musk doing Elon Musk things. Out of that, and out of the first, week of this new administration, what I've come to learn, and this will be attached to the resolution update, is you see what you want to see. Your perspective is based your perspective 100% on your own conscious or unconscious biases. I saw something very interesting, Michael, and it wasn't deep fake. It wasn't anything like this. It was a video from it was towards the middle end of Obama's second term, talking about enforcement of immigration policies. Very strongly worded.
Where are we going, brother?
We're getting there.
Okay.
You would think.
I'll allow it.
You would think with the current administration's actions and outrage factor that you're seeing, that what Obama said would have been written by a very strongly right-leaning conservative. It's like, no. It really is just like, if it was your party or not, whether or not it brings on outrage factor. This also came to light. There was an article covering the beginning. This is very, very early beginning enforcement under Trump of immigration policies, all this kind of stuff. And they said in his 3 days in office, he's been responsible for 1% of all of the immigration related arrests from 2014. Michael, you're pretty good at math, right?
On occasion.
What is 1%? Sorry, what is? I just gave it away. Son of a biscuit. What is 3 divided by 365?
That would rattle in at 8.2.
So percentage wise, a little under 1%, right?
Or I mean, sorry, that's wrong. I carried the decimal wrong. 0.82. 0.82%.
So 3 days of 365 days in a year, really close to 1% of the year, and they were the verbiage in this article was very, very inflammatory. Like, oh my gosh, in 3 days he's already done 1% of all of what's happened last year. I was like, well, you know what 3 days is? It's 1% of the year. It's actually been on track. Also, the logical side of me says, and this is going to be the end of my political talking here, and I'm going to shut up. You don't come in and do all of these raids and all this stuff that happened or has happened or continuing to happen. You don't do all the intel gathering. You don't do all the planning or whatever in 3 days. The information that they acted upon was there, right? Like logically says like that information was there. Who they were targeting, who they wanted to go after, where they wanted to hold these raids. At least some of them. That information existed before he took office. So it's not like, okay, that's it. You see what you want to see, and I think as divisive as politics is in our current current society, like you just the two sides could be really close on something, but depending on who said it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing ever. It's like, or 100% I'm behind it. It's like, well, let's maybe divide who said it and look at the merits of what was said a little bit more closely. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not trying to turn 23 personnel into some kind of political discourse. This is not really where I spend a lot of my time or mental capacity or effort. So just like it's been actually such a beating. As like it astounds me that people don't understand that like your perception is so flawed, skewed by what you want to see.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I saw that you wrote that in the notes, and I just assumed you're going to be talking about the NFL refs helping out the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl.
You know, that probably would have been a much easier tactic to
It's
to
still
go at
true.
the same point. Yeah, same point.
It weighs true. I mean, if you don't want to admit that you're seeing greatness, or you just really can't stand Jackson Mahomes, or whatever your reasoning is for not liking the Chiefs, you're sick of Taylor Swift getting on the screen 17.4 seconds a game, hugging her possible future mother-in-law. Oh, it's just the worst thing in the world to see that. Isn't that just awful? Anyway,
or what is and isn't a penalty against like a quarterback who's sliding, but then has 2 defenders spearing him in the head. That's not a penalty. It absolutely is a penalty. Him flopping on the sideline, like, okay,
yeah,
that was a little dramatic, and he even admitted that. But also like the penalty that was called against, I guess you could say he kind of drew it. Mahomes scored the touch on the AFC Championship game. Kelsey runs in talking to the defenders.
Oh, yeah.
And then gets headbutted, throws an arm up, and like, look at him taking a dive. I was like, he just took a helmet to the face. That absolutely is a penalty. Like, you can't blame him. That, like, okay. Anyways.
Yeah, see, there you go. You see what you want to see.
See what you want to see.
Yeah.
So that's you just so many people don't like.
I get what
the
you're
Chiefs.
saying.
I'm done. I'm walking away from that one. What you
Okay.
got?
I would like to talk a little bit about Ponto Gaucho, which
Get us back
is
to our roots, please.
we're back, baby. We're back on the Brazilian steakhouse chain. So Lubbock has been without a Brazilian steakhouse for I'd say 5 years ish.
What was it?
Churrasco was the last one that was here. I think I only went once, but had a good friend of ours had,
YOLO.
have a birthday, and so four of us couples got together and left the kids somewhere and
Fend for
what?
yourself,
Yeah, I don't even know where they were.
children.
Doesn't matter. And went over to Ponto Gaucho, which thankfully we had reservations because that place was absolutely packed on Saturday night. Great meal, man. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I hadn't had that experience in a long time, and I haven't had that experience with that large of a table.
I've never
And
been.
so it was. Oh, you've never done a Brazilian steakhouse? So you know what they're about, though, right? Where you have the red or the green card, and if your card is green, man, be ready because there's going to be folks coming by with chorizo sausage, with top sirloin, with bottom sirloin, with bacon wrapped sirloin, with lamb chops, lamb steaks, chicken thighs, grilled jalapeno. What else?
I'm looking at the menu now. It's ridiculous. Top sirloin, bottom sirloin, ribeye, tenderloin, spicy beef, garlic sirloin, lamb chop, lamb steak, bacon wrapped beef or chicken, chicken legs, pork sausage, pork ribs.
I didn't see any ribs. And then of course, so you pay there. You can go to the salad bar as much as you want, and it's not fair to call it a salad bar. They have actual sides, so they had like beef stroganoff over there. I think some sort of tomato soup, possibly, and of course like mashed potatoes, black beans, rice. So they had like warm sides that you could get. Excuse me, and then they had charcuterie available, some various like potato salads, uh, Brazilian street corn salad, and of course regular salad. Whatever you want for the side. Some great sauces, some chimichurri, kind of a green, uh, kind of a mint green sauce that paired really well with some of these, really heavy meats. Kind of cut it. It's fun, man. They bring by fried polenta to the plate. They bring by caramelized bananas.
Oh, I saw
They
that. It
have
looks so good. Grilled pineapple.
the grilled pineapple's excellent. Then they have those little cheese. They're little tiny, super airy rolls, uh, little yeast rolls that are filled with cheese. Not filled, but they have cheese in them. They're just like, I mean, you can eat it in 2 bites. It's fantastic. So that was a lot of fun, and we will probably go back. We'll probably take our 8-year-old at some point because I think she would get an absolute kick out of it. She does like. She's getting more adventurous now, and it's probably because I'm her dad and I don't cook very much. So when I do, I think she may just want to be nice, but I do think she genuinely likes it. So anyway, long story short, I do think she likes steak and that type of meat, because that's pretty much all I know how to cook. So I think we're going to go at some point and get her there, and I think she'll just not know what to do. It'll be fun.
Seeing Scarlett jumps in the chat. Very on brand that I turned this on just as you were talking about food. Welcome. Yes, this is this returning to our roots. You missed a very heated political discussion where Michael and I were at each other's throats.
Oh man,
He couldn't stand my stance there. I'm kidding.
no.
No, he probably could. The thing is, Michael is too mature to get drawn off sides like I tend to do.
I'm too old.
You're like 2 years older than I am.
No, more than more like 5. I think.
Maybe.
Well, what'd you learn? Speaking of food, I think you've got a food update to share.
I've had too many bad experiences, Michael, at Sonic, and I really typically only go there for drinks, anyways. Like their food, I've basically like if I go there, I the menu had been whittled down to basically just their snacks. So like their jalapeno popper things, the pretzels with cheese have been pretty good.
Pickle
Uh,
fries,
pickle fries,
slap, man. Those are really good.
and tater tots. I had to explain what a tater tot was to Hayden. We call him a hater tot every now and then. He's like, what do you call me that?" I was like, "Well, because they're like tater tots." Like, "What's a tater tot?" I was like, "Oh, brother, let's go."
Let me hook you up.
I need to actually get him a tater tot. He loves fries. But actually, when we go to Taco Villa, like the kids' meals come with a side of fries. His thing lately has been to sub out the fries for refried beans. It's like you are a Rogers boy. Our youngest loves the curly fries, and for a Mexican restaurant, they do some dang good curly fries.
They do. Yeah.
But I ventured. My eyes have wandered off the Sonic train, Michael, to another drink establishment, not even that far up the road from my local establishment. Just south of 130th off of Indiana, one Soda Shack has caught my eye. And I'm not very adventurous on their menu. There's so much on there. I found one and I can't get off of it. It's been their Dr. Feelgood. So it's Dr. Pepper, strawberry puree, and cream. Let me just double check. Soda Shack. I don't even know. Yeah, here's a picture of the menu.
I didn't know there was a second one over there. I'm just looking at that now.
New location. Okay, hold on. That you can't see it that well, but basically they have a very wide variety of sodas, and then like Bahama Bucks level flavoring syrup add-ins, sugar and sugar-free options, and fruit purees. So it's not just a sugary syrup that they pump into your drink. They've got here it is. Dr. Feelgood, Dr. Pepper plus vanilla, strawberry puree, and the coconut cream. So I do it a little bit. The coconut cream probably has a fair bit of caloric intake, but Diet Dr. Pepper, and then their sugar-free syrups on the vanilla. Strawberry puree is just strawberries, and fruit's free, right? The coconut cream probably has some, but brother, it is delicious. They have so many other options too. The Buddy, Dr. Pepper, coconut, vanilla, half and half. Willy Nilly's Dr. Pepper, raspberry, coconut. Peachy Keen, Dr. Pepper, peach, vanilla, half and half. Cocoa A Go-Go, Coke, vanilla, lime. Sorry, whoa, Coke, coconut, and lime. They have a Coke, pineapple, coconut. Peggy Sue, it's Coke, or Diet Coke, cranberry, and lime. Anyways,
I gotta try this. Yeah, there's several. I'm scrolling through on their Facebook, and they have some kind of. It looks like they have some limited ones here and there. So they had a Crantastic a while back that sounded really good with Sprite and cranberry and raspberry and fresh lime. And then here's one that I'm sure is going to get a visceral reaction from some of you, but I would be all in. And I think that the soda is already going to get some people out of it. But during Christmas, they had the Slaying It, and it's spelled SLEIGHING, Slaying It. Big Red, so that's probably lost a bunch of you already, plus peppermint plus half and half. I don't know. I would try it. I used to make Coke floats out of Big Red, so this seems similar, of course, with peppermint. So that's going to be a different thing thrown in there. But yeah, I gotta get over there, man.
They have sparkling water, so if you want to do some of the flavor combinations with carbonation, just not soda, they do that. They've got same flavor mixes up with Red Bull, Lotus Energy drinks. So, or you can just mix it custom. You can get soda plus whatever mix you want in.
I bet they just pour you Coke if you want a Coke.
Yeah, just like, hey, I want a Diet Coke or Coke Zero.
Oh, I wonder if they would do this. One of my favorite things, I used to get a Dr. Pepsi when I would go to Allsup's.
Well,
I wonder if they would treat me to a Dr. Pepsi.
They do have a Dr. Pepper and Pepsi.
Yeah, put a little vanilla in there. Call it good. Dr. Pepsi.
Full disclosure, Michael. I mean, there's just so we're all like on the up and up here. I wouldn't say I'm friends with them, but I personally know the owner.
Okay.
Owners. Ironically, Michael.
So they're a sponsor now?
I would love for them to be a sponsor. Like, you know what I need? I need like a punch card for me and my co-host, like 10 free sodas.
We get
quarter a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll highlight a different drink every week. We'll just plug it away. No, so they have 2 locations. One on 82nd and like West. It's like out there, Frankfurt. It's like south of that United off of 82nd in Frankfurt. It's on the south side of that shopping strip. And then the other location is Indiana, south of 130th, on that same strip as Domino's. It's too convenient, Michael. The only thing, so you have to order on the backside of this little building, and then with my truck, I got to swing out just the right angle because it's a narrow curb end of the concrete there, so I can't drop off the concrete into the field that's right there. No, it's got a curb on it. So believe me, I've hit that curb a few times. I've also had to pull in, back up, straighten up, and then go back in. The past 2 times, I've been there a lot. Past 2 times, I've actually swung it just right. One go at it.
Feels good.
But yeah, not a sponsor. Could be, should be. Hit up Soda Shack for your soda needs in the LBK. Forget Sonic. They suck. Their food is trash. Sodas are always weird. For a place that claims to be your drink stop, they fumble that hard. Also, as a cheap person as I am, I can't get down with, okay, so you charge me extra for extra syrups. I understand that. But then it's the same price for easy syrup.
I had the same argument with them a while back because I was trying to find out if I was lactose intolerant or not. So I was ordering. The only way to order a cheeseburger at Sonic is to order a cheeseburger with no cheese.
If you take items off.
And so, yes, that does not lower the price at all.
It's like ordering a double cheeseburger and taking a patty off. They're still going to charge you full price.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they've got...
they have singles. I get
it's
that.
Just such... My only theory on Sonic that I shared in the Discord today is it's a lunch-only place. Like, if you get there before lunch, you're probably okay. If you get
their
there...
breakfast burritos are actually pretty good.
Yes, and that salsa that's in the prepackage is pretty good. It's pretty good salsa.
I could leave it.
Yeah, considering. But they've got they have breakfast tots. I mean, that doesn't hurt.
One of the burritos has tots in it.
Yes. So I think it's the Supersonic. But anyway, the lunch crowd, that's where it's at. So if you're there between 11:45 and 1, you're probably going to have a pretty good time unless you order fried chicken of any sort, because you're going to be there for a minute. If you go there anytime after 1:30, you're going to get a cold burger with cheese that has not been melted and fries that are also cold, and it's going to take them 15 minutes.
Because they're getting slammed for people that show up early for happy hour.
Yeah.
Newsflash, if you have the app, it's happy hour whenever. Half price drinks, whatever. If you're paying full price for a drink at Sonic, you're being stupid.
You got to get the app.
I'm sorry. You got to get the app, even if you only use it once per year. It's worth it. It's just
I do love me a good cherry lime. I can't resist that. I like it quite a bit.
When I get drinks at Sonic, it's a Dr. Pepper with raspberry.
It's a cherry limeade for me. Or I like a blue Powerade, man. Just blue Powerade. Nothing else going on. That's tasty. Or I like to get sometimes we'll do a strawberry water.
Okay.
That's nice.
So that's all I had for what do we learn? We got one more thing on this list, Michael. What you got?
This is it. So I recently, thanks to Tyler in the Gauchos Discord, at least a year
What's his
ago.
last name?
It's
Don't
just
don't
Tyler.
don't.
Oh yeah, I don't even know if that's his first name or what. That's his handle in the Discord.
Just Tyler.
He recommended, some of us were talking about some good books that we'd read or good book series, and I can't remember if it was specifically about sci-fi or what, but he recommended the Three Body Problem series, which is written by a Chinese author who, and then the books are then translated to English, and I'm sure other languages too. But and also there's of course the Netflix series. So when he mentioned that, I think there was talk of the Netflix series, or it was going to debut within a few months, and I thought I need to check this out. And so it's 3 books. I just finished the series this weekend. I finished the third book in the series. Spencer is wild, and I've read some science fiction. I've read Dune. I've read all the Ender's Game series. Well, not all of them, not the Shadows and all that stuff. But I can't even explain. I'm so excited that they've decided to make a TV show out of this, because I think it's going to blow people's minds if they stick with the books. I've started the TV show. I'm only 4 episodes in. They do mostly focus on the first book, but they've already kind of previewed some concepts from the second and third book, and I, I can't even. Man, it's such a cool idea. The whole man, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So the whole concept of the book is really cool. Just the crux of the concept, what is happening. There's something that's going to happen in the future that everyone knows is going to happen. And so, how do people react to that? How do they respond to it? How do they prepare for it? Do they prepare for it? Do they decide to just pretend it's not happening at all, or whatever? So you know this going in fairly soon, and you get to see how humanity reacts, and the books spread across hundreds of years, and I was just blown away by it. So anyway, Three Body Problem. I've only read the books. I've only seen the first 4 episodes of the show. I know nothing else. But man, if you're into, I didn't even know this was a term, because this is how ignorant I am on reading genres and stuff. This isn't just sci-fi. This is hard sci-fi. I've read it's hard sci-fi because there must be a lot of really complicated concepts that they talk about in the and they are. There's certain chapters where you're like, come on, let's move on. Let's get past this. I don't know how much I can understand of the fourth dimension or the 10th dimension or a macro dimension or whatever we're going on about here. So really, really interesting series of books, and turned me on to a new author. So Tyler, appreciate that. I There's already another book of that I want to check out, that it's kind of adjacent to this series. It happens in the universe of it, but it's not. It's not. Well, anyway, the book's called Ball Lightning, so I want to check that out, because it was mentioned in, I think, the Dark Forest. I think they mentioned it in that one. So cool.
Maybe
I like sci-fi books. They're fun.
maybe I should check this one out.
It's there's going to be some sections where it's a slog. I'll be honest with you on the books, and what I was able to do, it really worked out. So the library for the last 2 books, I was able to check out the audiobook and the book at the same time. So it was really nice. So like as I was driving, I was listening to it, and then at night before I go to bed, I'm reading it, or if we're just sitting around at the house, I'm reading it, or if I'm doing chores at the house. I'm listening to it. So like I was just consuming this book as much as I possibly could to get through these last two in the last couple months. It was good.
All right. Maybe check
That's it.
it out.
3 Body Problem.
Well, that'll do for us on 23 Body Personnel Podcast. Texas Tech taking on TCU tomorrow night. We'll be back on Tuesday to recap that game. Saturday's game at Houston, and then Tuesday's game against a maybe reeling Baylor. They lost tonight in overtime to BYU. But until then, we'll see you on Tuesday. For Michael, I'm Spencer. Go check some.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.
Alrighty.